What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's get into NXT from December the 24th, 2024. The Christmas Eve edition of NXT. Pretty okay show. It was taped, but it was still good nonetheless. So, we kicked the show off with the first match of the night. Stephanie Vacker defeated Cora Jade. She wins via the package backbreaker for the 1, 2, 3. Match was okay. Cora Jade still needs some work, even though she's been there for 3 years. She still needs some work. Just being honest. So post-match, Kalani Jordan, she came out. She attacked Cora Jade with a kendo stick, and she was restrained by Stephanie Vacker. For whatever reason, I have no idea why that occurred. I don't know why Vacker stopped that, but it is what it is. Moving on. So Tony D, we go backstage. Tony D, he's backstage with the family. He thinks that they need more gold. Stax tells a terrifying Christmas story of how his mom beat up Santa Claus, who was actually little Fabio, or what, Fabzio, down the street. And then he hopes that winning the NXT Tag Team number 1 contender match will be a good present. Okay, cool. Interesting stuff there, though. We continue on backstage. William Regal, he's backstage talking to Lexis King, who's getting ready for his match. Regal says that he wants to be in Lexis King's corner once again for the Heritage Cup match. And then Regal asks Lexis King if he's going to quote-unquote do it. And Lexis King assures William Regal that he's going to win the match. And then Lexis King goes and gets ready for his match. And then when Regal pulls out the brass knuckles and says that's not what he meant. So this leads us into Charlie Dempsey versus Lexis King for the Heritage Cup Championship. And William Regal cost Dempsey the Heritage Cup, which was great. This is some really good shit. This is the spoiler I was telling you guys about last week that I looked into. I didn't want to, reveal it. But this was good. This was a good angle. I actually enjoyed it. The match was good, too. This is a really good match as well. We went into, I think it was 4 rounds, and then that's when the DQ happened. And so, on the DQ, the title changes hands, and Booker T was pissed about it. He's like, what the hell? What the hell? So that was pretty cool. So I do like that. This is interesting. I like that they're going to do a feud between Charlie Dempsey and William Regal. I do like this. This should be fun. It's interesting to see where this will lead. Moving on. So, OTM, they're backstage out the mud. So, they're talking about Christmas and all that, and how it's a load of garbage, and how having presents doesn't mean anything. People are way too materialistic. And then they make their case for being the team to win the Fatal 4-Way tag team match. Okay, cool. Moving right along. So, Kalani Jordan, she's backstage and she's pissed the fuck off. She lashes out at Stephanie Vacker and Lola Vice for not approving of her aggressive methods. She's basically telling him to stay out of her business. And so, I guess they oblige. I guess they're trying to give Kalani a little bit more edge, and I do like that. I do think that is good for her, if we're being perfectly honest. I'm a fan of Kalani Jordan. She needs this more aggressiveness to her character, because she's kind of more like a happy-go-lucky, how like Roxanne Perez was when she first got there in 2021, when she first got there 3 years ago. So, yeah. But to me, this does make sense. I like this. Moving on, the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, they defeated Fatal Influence, which is Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley and JC Jane. So they lose. Also, KC Squared, which is Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, they're in the crowd. So it seems like they might be coming in back to NXT, maybe. They even mentioned that on commentary about the little transport thing that they're doing on the main roster when they, switch things over in January, where you have Raw going to Netflix, SmackDown's on the USA Network, and NXT's on the CW, talking about that. Basically moving people around different brands and stuff. So that's some interesting shit there. We'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But Gigi Dolan, she made her presence felt in this match. She took out JC Jane. So they're going to continue that feud. And that feud's been going on for well over a year. There needs to be an end goal in sight. I would imagine they're probably going to end up doing something at New Year's Evil, in NXT New Year's Evil, on the 7th of January. So that's probably what they'll end up doing. We'll have to wait and see, though. We'll have to really wait and see. But I do think it is time for Gigi Dolan. Not Gigi Dolan. I do think it's time for JC Jane to be called up to the main roster. Same thing with Fallon Henley. I think it's time for sure. Moving on. So, Dakota Catch Crew, they're getting ready for their match. They're preparing for their match. So, Zarya and Ruka, they're backstage. They're talking about their issues and stuff. Lame ass Sean Spears, he shows up. He's trying to recruit Gigi for whatever reason. Well, not Gigi, but Izzy Dame for whatever reason. And Izzy Dame's like, look, leave me alone, which I don't blame her. And they all go away. And that's kind of it. I don't see where any of this is going. I do think this is an okay spot for Zarya right now. People also have to realize, too, that Jordan Grace is coming in next year. Probably around the Royal Rumble. So she's definitely coming in. Or maybe a few weeks before the Rumble. So, yeah. I like what they're doing with Zarya and Ruka. I think that is pretty cool. I forgot to mention that Katana Chance and, KC Square, they got into a little squabble with Metaphor. That's cool. Moving on. Ashanti the Adonis defeats Dion Lennox with the help of sexy-ass Nikita Lyons. So this is probably going to lead to a feud involving Nikita Lyons and Karma Petrovich, as well as a little mini feud between Ashanti and Dion Lennox. So that should be interesting there. I do like that. Booker T was crazy on commentary. I love me some Booker T on commentary. He crazy as hell. So this is fine. Moving on. So Shotzi, Tatum Paxi, and Gigi Dolan, they're backstage and they're running to KC Squared. They said that they were here to see the new NXT Women's Division. And then Last Legend and Jakara Jackson, they show up. Then everybody just yells at each other and everything else. So, okay, that's fine, I guess. More drama, I would presume. I think that Last Legend and Jakara Jackson, they are ready to go to the main roster. I think they're ready for that. And I think that would make the most sense. And then you just bring back down to NXT KC Squared. I think that would be cool and interesting, because KC Squared on the main roster, they didn't do jack shit, really. They didn't. They were only women's tag team champions for, I want to say, almost about a month to at least 2 months. I can't remember. But they weren't champions long. So I think it would be better for them to just come back down to NXT. Moving on. So Lexis King, he's backstage celebrating his first championship in WWE. He credits his integrity for his victory. He says that he proved he doesn't need shortcuts to win, and then he leaves. So, basically, Sarah Schreiber was trying to tell him, that William Regal is the one that helped him win. And he was trying to be kind of, I wouldn't say delusional about it, but he didn't take that into consideration. So maybe he'll go back and watch the replay. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I do like this. It seems like they may turn Lexis King heel. They may. It might be like a slow heel turn. But we really have to wait and see. This is a long wait and see type of thing. Moving on. So, Ethan Page explains why he attacked Javon Evans. So, that's good. And this is going to begin their feud, I would imagine, which will probably start at New Year's Evil. And then I know that they're going to do a pay-per-view in February. I think it's called St. Valentine's Day Massacre or something like that. It's something like that. They always do that in February. That'll be their second match. And then they could do like their third and final match on a random episode of NXT. And then from there, you begin to move Ethan Page on up to the main roster. I think it's time for him to move up on the main roster, because we don't know if Josh Alexander is going to come to NXT or not. I know that his contract is up with TNA in February of next year. So, I don't know. But by that time, Ethan Page should have already, I guess they could bring Josh in around that time frame. I would imagine if it's up in February, probably either within the first 2 weeks of February, his contract would be up, and then maybe they have Josh Alexander comes in, and maybe he's the one who helps Ethan Page beat Javon Evans whenever they do their pay-per-view in February. I forgot what it's called. I can't remember, but they'll mention it on commentary or whatever. Moving on. Main event of the evening. So, OTM, they win, and they defeat the Family, No Quarter Catch Crew, and Hank and Tank. And I forgot to mention that all four teams earlier on in the show, they all cut promos and stuff on how they were going to win. So, Ridge Holland, he got involved in the match. He was the Secret Santa, basically, and he was the one dressing as Santa Claus, and he turned on, he took out the Family. So it seems like they're going to do Ridge Holland and Tony D going forward. That makes sense. I guess once Ridge is done with that, maybe it's back to the main roster with him. But that's another wait and see. Moving on. So, closing segment. So Trick Williams, Oba Femi, and Eddy Thorpe, they all argue about New Year's Evil. Eddy Thorpe said Trick escaped and should be ashamed to call himself champion. Trick Williams says the match will be a triple threat, and he's going to prove all the doubters wrong. So Ava comes out. She makes the match official. And then it's a massive brawl that takes place. And Oba Femi takes out both Trick Williams and Eddy Thorpe. He did the powerbomb to Trick Williams. And he did the powerbomb to Eddy Thorpe, but Eddy Thorpe escaped. And then Oba Femi grabbed the title, and he hoisted it up in the air, and then that was the end of the show. This is fine. Obviously, I would assume Eddy Thorpe is going to be the one to lose and take the pin. I still think that both Roxanne Perez and Trick Williams will not lose their titles until Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend. I think that's when you see Trick and Roxanne Perez lose. I just don't see Roxanne Perez, and she was on the show. She cut a promo. It was not that good. Just, talking about all of her accomplishments and everything else. And then she mentioned how she's going to beat Julia come New Year's Evil. But that's besides the point. But I just don't see Roxanne Perez and Trick Williams both losing their titles just on a random episode of NXT. I mean, I get it. It's a special. But still, I just don't think that's where you pull the trigger with that. I think you want to have Trick and Roxanne Perez both lose their titles on the biggest show of the year, which is Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend. And I still think that it's going to be Trick and Oba at Stand and Deliver. What do you do with Julia once she loses? I don't know. I don't know who's going to be the one to dethrone Zarya. I don't know. My bad. To dethrone Roxanne Perez. I don't know. It could be Zarya. It could be Stephanie Baker. I don't know. Then you got to think, would Triple H call up Roxanne Perez and Trick Williams? That could be a possibility. I don't think that either of them are ready for that type of responsibility yet. Trick and Roxanne Perez, they came into the company at the same time, really. I think Roxanne Perez, she came in early on in 2021. I think she came in around, I think they started to do NXT 2.0. That had to have been either around May or June of that year. And, they've been there ever since. So I want to say they started NXT 2.0 back in the summer. I know that. I know it was well into the summer. But that's besides the point. But all in all, I thought NXT was a pretty fun little show for Christmas Eve. But what did you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.